Hi everybody. Snow falls gently on the streets of Stockholm. The wind cuts to the bone, but sharper still is the way some people look at Islam. Sweden, once considered a paradise of tolerance, has slowly turned into one of the harshest countries toward Muslims. On the streets, provocative acts of burning the Quran have become spectacles. In schools, the hijab has started to be questioned. In the media, Islam is portrayed as a threat to be feared. For many Muslims, living here feels like lighting a candle in the middle of a storm. The warmth of faith must be guarded, even as it is struck daily by the cold stares and words of others. But behind it all, unnoticed, something is moving. Something hatred cannot stop. A small wave that will one day change the face of Sweden forever. First, it was all just rumors, whispers within the local Muslim community. There's a native Swede who just embraced Islam. They say last week, someone else took their Shahada at the central mosque. But over time, those rumors became undeniable facts. Since 2020, the number of converts to Islam in Sweden has surged, not by 5%, not by 10%, but by 55% in the past 5 years. Mosques that were once quiet now feel alive. In Stockholm, some mosques have had to add extra Friday prayer sessions because the congregation no longer fits inside. In Malmö, introductory courses on Islam that used to attract only a dozen people are now packed with hundreds of registrants. And what has surprised everyone, the new faces are not immigrants. They are native Swedes. Pale-skinned, blue-eyed, raised in environments filled with prejudice against Islam. This wave is more than just numbers. It is a sign that something monumental is unfolding in the heart of a country once known for being cold toward Islam. Many of them came to the mosque for the first time, not to seek the truth, but to prove that Islam was wrong. Yet what they found was the complete opposite. A man named Johan, once active in an anti-immigrant forum, shared his story. I read the Quran looking for reasons to hate it, but every page only brought peace to my heart. Then there's Ellen, a woman who once felt afraid whenever she saw someone in a hijab. She admitted that she used to deliberately avoid her Muslim neighbor. But after attending an introductory Islam class held at a mosque in Gothenburg, tears streamed down her face when she heard a verse about Allah's mercy. It felt like coming home, even though I had never been to this place before, she said. Stories like Johan's and Ellen's are being heard more and more. People who once stood on the side of hatred are now standing in prayer rows, shoulder to shoulder with those they once shunned. They are not just uttering the two declarations of faith. They are transforming their entire lives. Today, the scenery in Sweden is slowly changing. In city parks, mothers in hijabs push strollers while speaking fluent Swedish. At train stations, fair-skinned teenagers wearing white caps bow their heads, reading from small-pocket Qurans. Eid prayers in Stockholm are now attended by tens of thousands, stretching as far as the eye can see, a sea of takbir echoing in the cold air. In Malmö and Gothenburg, mosques are turning down donations because the funds pouring in are already more than enough to support dawah and social programs. Media outlets that once focused solely on negative stories about Muslims are now publishing accounts of converts and Islamic community service. Schools are beginning to open introductory classes on Islam, not as a threat, but as knowledge worth appreciating. Sweden, once known as one of the most anti-Islam countries, is now witnessing that guidance knows no borders, no skin color, and no language. Because light always finds its way, even in a land that once froze hearts. The Islamic revival in Sweden is not stopping within its borders. News of the surge in converts has begun to reach neighboring countries, Norway, Denmark, Finland. Muslim communities across Europe are sending scholars, preachers, and volunteers to Sweden to support this new wave. Islamic conferences, once rare in the Scandinavian region, now regularly invite speakers from all over the world. Some Swedish converts have even become spokespersons for Islam on the international stage. Johan, once anti-Islam, once stood before thousands in Istanbul, sharing his journey of finding faith. His story went viral, viewed millions of times on social media, inspiring many outside Sweden to begin learning about Islam. This phenomenon has left many astonished. How could a country once seen as a symbol of hostility toward Islam now be sending the light of faith to every corner of the world? This wave of guidance is no longer just a small current. It has become a great tide that crosses borders, and nothing can stop it. Her name is Maria Lindström, an elementary school teacher in Uppsala. Her life used to be simple: teaching, walking through the forest in spring, and occasionally joining protests against immigrants without really knowing why. Everything changed in the winter of 2021. On her way to school, she saw a young Muslim girl standing at a bus stop, crying. Maria approached her and learned that the girl had just been mocked because of her hijab. For some reason, the incident haunted her for days. Curiosity led her to learn more about Islam, not from the media, but from its original sources. She read the translation of the Quran, watched lectures, and visited mosques. Day by day, the wall of prejudice she had built since childhood began to crumble. Until one afternoon, in a small room of a mosque in Stockholm, tears streamed down Maria's face as she uttered the two declarations of faith. "I felt like a newborn baby," she said with a trembling voice. Today, Maria is not just a Muslim woman. She actively teaches children of converts and helps with dawah programs across Sweden. Many who once knew her as an ordinary teacher now call her Mother of Guidance, because through her, dozens of people have found Islam. In the past, the streets of downtown Stockholm were filled only with shops, cafes, and music from bars. Today, that scene is beginning to change. In several corners of the city, the call to prayer drifts from newly built mosques. Coffee shops have started offering halal menu options. The city library has expanded its collection of books on Islam, from Quranic exegesis to the history of Muslim civilization. Society, too, is adapting. Large companies now provide prayer spaces in their offices. Schools have begun allowing female students to wear the hijab without discrimination. Some churches have even opened their doors for interfaith dialogues, led jointly by pastors and imams. Most surprising of all, crime rates in some areas with high convert populations have actually dropped. Police data shows that social programs initiated by the Muslim community, such as food distribution and youth mentorship, have helped reduce neighborhood conflicts. Sweden is now slowly building a new face. No longer just a country known for its cold winters, but a nation that stands as an example of how hatred can be transformed into harmony. From a country that once froze hearts, Sweden has now become a witness that Allah's guidance knows no boundaries. It wasn't the summer sun that melted the ice, but the light of faith entering hearts that were once tightly shut. Beneath the often gray northern skies, thousands now bow in prostration upon the same ground. Fair-skinned men stand in prayer rows beside African and Asian brothers. Women in hijab smile at neighbors who once avoided them. Children run across mosque courtyards, mixing Swedish with Islamic greetings. And in the midst of it all, the echoes of takbir continue to rise, weaving between buildings, piercing the cold air, wrapping the city in peace. Sweden has changed not because of force, not because of politics, but because of the truth that touches the human heart. For when the light arrives, no winter can stand in its way.